When most people hear the word cybercrime, they instinctively think of technology. They imagine code, malware, exploits, or clever technical tricks. That framing is understandable, but it is incomplete. Cybercrime is not primarily a technical phenomenon, it is an economic one. To understand why cyber incidents occur so frequently across so many industries, you need to look beyond tools and vulnerabilities and focus instead on incentives. Cybercrime persists because it works. It persists because it produces predictable returns with comparatively low risk. And over time, these conditions have transformed cybercrime from isolated activities into a fully formed industry. Like any industry, modern cybercrime has a structure. It has roles, markets, pricing, specialization, and competition. It has participants who focus on efficiency, scale, and reliability. And most importantly, it has participants who adapt continuously when conditions change. This shift from ad hoc crime to organized industry is the most important thing to understand about the modern threat landscape. Cybercrime follows the logic of markets. Industries form when three conditions exist: demand, supply, and favorable economics. Cybercrime satisfies all three. Demand exists because digital systems now mediate nearly every form of value: data, identity, access, reputation, and continuity. Wherever value exists, there is incentive to exploit it. Supply exists because the internet enables global participation. Anyone with connectivity can potentially take part, regardless of geography. Skills can be learned, tools can be purchased, and access can be rented. The economics are favorable because digital crime can be conducted remotely, repeatedly, and at scale. Attackers do not need physical proximity. They can reuse successful techniques. They can automate large portions of their work. And in many cases, enforcement is fragmented, slow, or jurisdictionally constrained. When these conditions persist, behavior professionalizes. From lone actors to organized operations. In the early days of the internet, many cyber incidents were driven by curiosity, experimentation, or notoriety. Individuals explored systems simply to see if they could. Success was measured in access gained or systems defaced. That era has passed. Today, most impactful cyber activity is conducted by organized groups, not individuals. These groups operate with defined roles and responsibilities. Tasks are broken apart, optimized, and distributed. This is a critical shift. When tasks are specialized, scale increases. When scale increases, volume increases. And when volume increases, the probability of successful incidents rises, even if individual attempts fail. In modern cybercrime, very few actors do everything themselves. Instead, they focus on what they do best and outsource the rest. Specialization, the core of industrial cybercrime. One of the clearest indicators that cybercrime has become an industry is specialization. Some actors specialize in discovering vulnerabilities, others specialize in phishing, others exclusively focus on monetization, and others provide infrastructure, tooling, or laundering services. Each role exists because it reduces cost and increases efficiency. Consider the emergence of initial access brokers, often abbreviated as IABs. These actors focus on one thing: gaining entry into systems. They scan for exposed services, exploit weak credentials, abuse misconfigurations, or leverage previously stolen login information. Once access is achieved, they do not necessarily exploit it themselves. Instead, They sell that access. Access becomes a product. It is packaged, priced, and traded. The value of that access depends on factors such as system complexity, organizational size, perceived resilience, and potential downstream value. This separation of access from exploitation is economically powerful. It allows other criminals to skip the most time consuming phase of an attack and focus directly on monetization. Ransomware as a service and platform economics. Another major example of industrialization is ransomware as a service or RAS. In this model, ransomware developers operate like platform providers. They design and maintain ransomware tools, manage infrastructure, issue updates, and sometimes even provide negotiation guidance. They do not need to compromise organizations themselves. Instead, affiliates deploy the ransomware. When a ransom is paid, revenue is shared according to predefined terms. This model mirrors legitimate platform economies, centralized development combined with decentralized execution. The result is scale. Developers can focus on improving tools, affiliates can focus on finding victims, and barriers to entry are lowered and volume increases. Importantly, this also creates feedback loops. Successful techniques are reinforced and ineffective ones are abandoned. Over time, operations become more refined, more reliable, and more difficult to disrupt. The marketplace for digital crime. As cybercrime has matured, so has its marketplaces. Underground forums and marketplaces now offer a wide range of products and services: phishing kits, malware loaders, exploit packages, credential dumps, botnets, and automation tools. Many offerings include documentation, tutorials, and technical support. Reputation systems exist to establish trust between criminals, and escrow mechanisms reduce fraud. Disputes are arbitrated. This may feel counterintuitive, but it is exactly what markets do when participants need reliability. When trust is required, even among criminals, systems emerge to support it. Monetization beyond the initial incident. Another defining feature of the cybercrime economy is that value extraction is rarely one time. Stolen data is not simply used and discarded, it is reused, resold, recombined, and repurposed. Credentials stolen today may be exploited months or years later. Access obtained in one incident may be leveraged in another context entirely. This creates long tail risk. From the perspective of an affected organization, an incident may appear contained once systems are restored. From the attacker's perspective, the asset continues to generate value long after visibility has faded. This is why cyber incidents often have consequences that emerge much later: fraud impersonation, extortion, or reputational damage that seems disconnected from the original event. In economic terms, the attacker's return on investment continues to accrue. Extortion as a business process. Extortion based cybercrime has also become highly professionalized. Negotiation is no longer improvised. Specialized teams apply structured pressure. They research their targets, assess tolerance for disruption, evaluate sensitivity to public exposure, and tailor demands accordingly. Communication is calibrated, deadlines are staged, threats are sequenced. The objective is not destruction, it is compliance. This distinction matters. Cybercrime is often misunderstood as chaotic or nihilistic. In reality, most operations seek predictable outcomes. They prefer victims who can pay, they avoid unnecessary attention, and they adjust tactics to maximize success. This is rational behavior with an economic system. Adaptation and competitive pressure. Like any industry, cybercrime is competitive. When one tactic becomes less effective, it is abandoned. When defenses improve, attackers shift focus. When automation becomes available, it is adopted quickly. This constant adaptation is one reason why cybersecurity feels perpetually reactive. Defenders improve controls, attackers probe for alternatives, and the cycle repeats. There is no stable equilibrium. This does not mean defense is futile. It means defense must focus on raising costs, reducing scale, and disrupting monetization rather than expecting elimination. Cybersecurity is not about perfection, it is about economics. Artificial intelligence as an accelerator, not the cause. Artificial intelligence did not create the cybercrime economy, but it has accelerated it. AI reduces the cost of experimentation, it automates repetitive tasks, it allows attackers to test variations rapidly and refine approaches continuously. From an economic standpoint, AI improves efficiency. What once required time, skill, or scale can now be done faster and cheaper. That shifts the balance further forward volume based strategies. This does not change motivation, it changes feasibility. Why this matters across all industries? It is important to recognize that this economic model applies regardless of sector, whether an organization operates in healthcare, education, legal services, technology, manufacturing, government, or finance, the same incentives apply. Attackers look for value, access, and leverage. Industry specifies change, how attacks manifest, but not why they occur. This is why cybersecurity cannot be understood purely through technical controls. Firewalls, detection systems, and policies matter, but they operate within an adversarial economy that constantly adjusts. Understanding that economy gives you context. It allows you to see patterns rather than isolated events. It helps you interpret risk realistically rather than emotionally. Reframing responsibility. Viewing cybercrime as an industry also reframes responsibility. Incidents are not always the result of incompetence or negligence. They often occur because organizations operate in environments where motivated adversaries continuously probe for weakness. This perspective does not remove accountability, it removes illusion. Cybersecurity is not about eliminating attackers, it is about operating responsibly in a hostile economic environment. The foundation going forward. Everything else in this course builds on this idea. Threat actors behave rationally. Attacks follow incentives. Tools change. Economics endure. When you understand cybercrime as an industry rather than an anomaly, you stop asking, how did this happen? And start asking, why was this predictable? That shift in thinking is foundational. It prepares you to understand threat actors, AI driven change, human manipulation, governance, and resilience without relying on fear or false certainty. This is the lens through which the modern cyber threat landscape becomes understandable.